We will start our meeting today reading the message from the book Living and Loving by Divaldo Franco and Joana de Angelis. Ways to see. People see a landscape according to their own visual capacity. A colorblind person will have difficulties to distinguish different wholes. A short-sighted one will have a distorted perception of reality. Any deficiency or anomaly in the visual organs will result in an incorrect way of seeing. However, if a person has adapted himself to a visual deficiency, he will never know that he has missed delicate patterns, rich details in a picture, or the exuberant colors life is bathed in. A tiny speck under a microscope will reveal a stellar panorama. A dewdrop on a petal looks like a sparkling diamond. When it comes to the observation of moral behavior, we usually see others according to our emotional and mental conditions. Consequently, there are people who will only find faults and imperfections in others. There are those individuals who only see the dark side of things and situations. A few others are plagued by systematic doubts about the character of their neighbors. Such attitudes express personal projection, which is a way to see persons and facts through one's inner self. Therefore, one sees outside what one sees inside one's own self. Examine yourself candidly before you judge others. Never act on impulse or under strong emotion, for if you do so, you may be mistaken where wings for sober reasoning. Filter your plans and projects through the sieve of self-criticism and consider how you would like people to act towards you, were you the offender. Be honest with yourself and act accordingly. Do not harbor unwholesome, arrogant thoughts. May your attitude reflect the inner peace you must achieve, cultivate, and express in your daily activities. When you find yourself at the head of an important position, receive kindly those who seek your help. Do not leave a negative mark on the road when you march along or on the people you meet on the way, because when you walk back, you will never meet them again. For your own benefit, fight your bad tendencies and try to overcome them. Each day is a new opportunity that life grants you. Someday, you will be asked to account for your deeds. When we assume a task, we should set ourselves a target and speed towards its achievement. We should neither stop, curse, or complain, but move on steadily, conscious of our responsibilities. The way we see or consider a fact results from our individual capacity for discernment. Place the lens of love over your personal deficiency, and you will see life. People and things from a different angle, through a perfect, colorful prism, so rich in beauty that you will work more as you strive to reach your target.
Dear Lord, Heavenly Father, Master Jesus, benefactor spirits, once again united, incarnates and disincarnates, to study a little bit more about ourselves as immortal spirits through the blessed doctrine, Spiritism. We give thanks for all of the teachings in which we receive, and we open our hearts and our minds so that we may exercise these teachings, spreading consolation, love, and peace wherever it is that we may go. With your permission, Lord, we ask to start our meeting. So be it.
Hello, everyone. All of us, incarnates and all of those in the spirit who are here with us, those who may be following us through our studies, through our learnings, those who have been brought by the benefactors here in order to study with us as well. those who may be listening from the outside, where the benefactors also are helping them. Our purpose is to study Spiritism, inspiring lives. And the purpose is to bring the consoling, hopeful, and universal message of Spiritism to the hearts of English speakers. English speakers are our brothers and sisters in humanity. We are all children of God. We all deserve to receive the blessings, or the consoling and hopeful blessings that Spiritism presents to humanity. Understand that Spiritism is the teachings of the Enlightened Spirits who bring the message of Jesus, who brings the words of God. And we carry on today. We finished last week in relation to God's attributes. We still are within what are the main principles of Spiritism. And today we carry on where we finished last week, actually, as we finished on the immortality of the soul, wasn't it? So we did the first slide where we actually went through, but we can go through for us to situate ourselves, and then we move on. So, immortality of the soul. Who would like to read that? Yes, please.
What are the main principles of Spiritism? The immortality of the soul shows us that we are immortal spirits, born simple and ignorant, with aptitude for good and evil, with destiny to perfection and happiness. Before we are human beings, incarnate in a physical body, we are children of God, for the spirit is the intelligent principle of the universe, and among the different species of corporeal beings, God has chosen the human species for the incarnation of the spirits.
Okay, would you like to comment? How do we hear that? How do we understand that today? The immortality of the soul, one of the main principles of Spiritism. When we read, when we heard, what came to our minds?
We are immortal spirits, I understand.
Okay, so we are in the flesh, in the physical body, we are incarnated. We are reminded that we are not a physical body, but we are immortal beings, created by God, simple and ignorant, not all us here only. I mean all humanity, even those who come from different pathway of spirituality, or even those who may not have any pathway yet. We all are immortal beings and have been born simple and ignorant, yes, when we started our journey, with aptitude for good and evil. What comes to our minds? With aptitude for good and evil.
Is the law of free will?
Okay, and what is free will? For those who never heard about it, how could we explain that?
Part of our spiritual teachings from the higher spirits teach us that there is a law which is made by God, which is unmutable. It's the law of free will. And free will is determined by our level of perfection and imperfection. So we're able to do that of what we please, but the more we learn how to do what we should and not what we want, or when we start doing, when what we want becomes the will of God, then we become more and more free. Mm-hmm. The limitations come due to the cause and effect of the bad use of our free will, which is going to determine whether our choices are good and evil. And although we realize that evil is simply the absence of goodness, there are very cruel beings still existent, because they're using this law against due to their ignorance, the choice of remaining in ignorance. But we know that this is just temporary.
Okay, it's temporary because we are all under the law of progress, and the law of progress is the law of God. And the law of God is the law of love. Yes, we need to go beyond God, of course. The creator of everything and everyone, yes? And if I were to add what you just said, yes, free will is the faculty of freedom that God gave us since He created us simple and ignorant. So we bring that inner key, psychically speaking, for us to choose gradually through developing the virtue of responsibility to develop the freedom according to God's will. And in that way, we free ourselves from whom? Ourselves. That we enslaved ourselves, yeah? The evil, as you mentioned, in reality is the absence of goodness, or in other words, we could say the evil, in our understanding, is the shadows that we created using the faculty of free will against God's law, outside the natural laws in the universe, as learners of ourselves as we are. And now that we are, let's put, in the best of our versions, then now we are wiser, in a sense, wiser, knowing better what we want to choose, as the law of cause and effect is always active in our lives. We develop more the free will according to the laws of love.
You know, even this one of these main principles that you put there is really consoling, and it reminds me of something you said on Sunday, because we were talking about the fact that ignorance is temporary, because we disincarnate and reincarnate. You know, so if we think about that, and we can make a bridge with that study, and we know that this life, this existence is temporary, and it's only a process that we're going through. And if we really understand that, then we start putting things into perspective and start becoming a little bit less desperate about doing everything here and now, wanting everything here now just for us. When we know that this is just, as Emmanuel says, it's like a second in our evolution.
It's a glimpse of the eyes. Yeah?
It changes completely, and this is a real important principle for us to look at, especially us ambitious people, us proud people, us
Materialistic people.
Materialistic, which is all of us, even us spiritists. If we say we're not, it's ridiculous. We all are.
We run up and down.
Yeah,
we don't know where we are going.
Use the cover of religion or whatever it is to say that we're not, but we are. We're all like that, but it's temporary. And it's a consolation to know that, you know, the immortality of the soul, and this is, if we really get to grasp with that, then I think it's a beautiful teaching.
Believe in a very, let's say, internal consoling way, not running away from where we are, where God placed us, and then we choose to follow God's will, what He presents every day to us. Then we go with the flow of evolution. Then our pathway becomes easier. Doesn't mean that we will not be challenges there, but when we reduce our resistances, what I want, no, it's not what I want, it's what God wants. Then we flexibilize ourselves internally. That becomes easier.
You know, I heard the show Maizi, and Jack was saying that there was this lady that used to pray the Our Father, but instead at the end saying, "Let thy will be done," she said, "Let my will be done." So, and I think we are like that. We say, "Let the Lord's will be done," but thinking about it really, am I really living that?
What do we need to do to live that?
Yes.
What do we need to do? Because yes, we can even pray. But again, if you pray, oh God, dear Lord, help me, help me, help me. I can say that from a very childish way, that I don't take responsibility. But I can also say, help me, but I may have intentions of not letting go my personal interests. Will that help? No. And even if I ask, dear Lord, please help me to see what your will is in my journey, and then He presents a huge challenge, and I say, oh no, that cannot be right. So we need to learn to let go. Is that making sense? Because that is part how we develop our internal trust in God. Because usually we trust when we can see and touch things, yeah? Then we have control of. But the real faith, which means to trust in God, meaning letting go, because He sometimes presents lessons to us that honestly we may say, oh my God, are you sure, Father? But that is awakening, expanding, because sometimes we don't know surely what is that about. But we become aware later on. That is trusting God. That is letting go.
We are children of God. We do explain this one.
We are children of God. I love that. I think that is quite consoling, very hopeful, that we are eternal children of God. So we don't need to be fearful or scared that God will abandon us. He is always there. He is a loving, merciful Father who created us with love. We are all brothers and sisters in humanity. Children means that we are all as creatures developing in relation to the Creator. Yes, we will never reach the same perfection as God. We are perfectible, but not the perfection as God is already. And as more as we evolve, and we evolve in developing virtues, starting with humbleness, I will more and more realize that I'm a child of God. And therefore I choose freely and willingly to be guided by His love. Even when we go in different phases in our evolution, different planets, still as more as we evolve morally, less resistance we will have as children of God to obey what He has to tell us, because the purpose that God created us and the seeds of His laws are within us, that we learn freely and spontaneously to follow His will, which will guide us towards achieving real happiness. Real happiness. Anything to add? Is that clear,
Yes.
children of God?
Evanise, I have a question about the thinking of everything. Just I was thinking like a reference, because our reference in Spiritism is Jesus. Jesus is like our model and guide. But I think I was thinking, I think I still have an image of Jesus that associated with suffering.
On the cross.
Yes, but I think it's not making sense for me, this sentence. Like, we are born simple and ignorant, then we progress, and at the end we're going to be perfect and happy. But Jesus who is the immortal, wasn't happy. So how can I change it? Like to, I don't know if
In a happiness, in a light-hearted way.
Yes.
That is good when we are studying and those old systems come up from our perispiritual memory or our unconscious memory, as we want to say. That is very good, because there is already the progress happening. We need to adjust our belief systems in relation to our new understanding now. Create a softer image of Jesus, because Jesus, in the old times, for all of us, when we look back in our history, it was really a suffering, a painful, a bloody image that we sometimes imprinted in us. Now we are within the school of Spiritism and learning that Jesus is love. Light-hearted, love. This is what He came to teach us while He was on earth. And we also understand that as the cross, the image there and then, what was part of the experience, that has nothing to do with the essential message of Jesus, which is really love one another. He is love. He is not that picture that perhaps we have imprinted in our memory. Does that make sense?
You know what came to mind in saying that is the image of Chico Xavier. And if we hear the books and everything, and when we look at his life, his image of his life, it looks like pure suffering and devastation. But nobody can get the perispirit as expansive as it is, the energy level as beautiful as his, as people would say, the amount of love that he was able to develop without having some sort of happiness. So it's understanding that happiness isn't what we see from the outside. So seeing that, gosh, Chico, I remember, and I saw that image of Adolfo looking at Chico's little room and burst out crying, and we'd see that, it's like, oh my God, there's so much suffering. But for Chico, that must have been just perfect. That's just what he needed, at that time, for that existence. So it's the way that we interact with what we think is happiness, because he managed to, even through the sufferings, and it wasn't easy and it was really tough, and he showed that openly, he still managed to find a sort of happiness in this world, because he was following Jesus.
He was following Jesus.
And Jesus is the same. When we look at the messages of Jesus and his stories, he demonstrated profound happiness in every act that he did. When somebody touched his robe because she got cured, well done, you cured yourself. That was happiness expanding out of him. And when we look at that and we see that actually Jesus went through here really happy, and even to the end, he was so pleased that he was able to demonstrate to us that God forgives them for what they have done, because they don't know, these children, and still there was a joy there. But we just look at...
Because we still are babies.
We are big babies.
I'm not quite sure of big. I think they are still small babies. who like to cry, who like to demand things, and you need to be my way. Yes, we still need to reframe our definitions about happiness. Because as babies as we are, and we say it in a loving way, because we are like children in relation to real life, we see happiness in having things, in doing things on the earthly level. But Chico's happiness, I never spoke to him, but reflecting about him, I guess that his happiness is to do the will of Jesus. And he finds happiness even when people mistreated him. Are we capable of doing that? That is the level when we spiritualize ourselves and we develop gratitude. When we say love and happiness, gratitude for everything. For those good moments, for those bad ones that didn't reach our life existence, for the bad ones that come to us. Because as children, we see the bad ones as something repulsive. The superior spirits embrace them. Because God's will is behind them. Otherwise, it wouldn't happen to us.
Because it's temporary.
It's temporary, it's learning. Real happiness, when we look with the brothers and sisters in humanity who are much more mature than us, they have already developed more the inner freedom in relation to God's freedom or God's will. They expanded the ability to love. When as more as we love, do we suffer more or less? As less as we love, do we suffer more or less? More. So, the invitation is for us to love and love and love. I must again, when it's yes, again. As many times as is required. Yes. Is that clear, Sita? Is that helpful? Yes, it's changing new frames. Are we okay with this one? So now we move on, and it's still within the immortality of the soul as we carry on. A human being is a spirit incarnated in a material body. What connects the physical body to the spirit is a semi-material body named perispirit. How can we expand that for those brothers and sisters in humanity who never heard that? What would we say a human being is incarnate spirit? Perhaps for us it's easier, but for others who never heard, what do you mean? How can we explain? Grazi, go on and teach us. Go on, open your mouth, you know. Let's try the way that you say, that you know.
Maybe it's the link between the physical body and the spiritual body that we have. It's where we had imprinted a lot of our
Experiences?
Yes.
Gosh, you know very well, you jumped on the end. But never mind, that's very good, you know. Now explain to us what it means a human being is a spirit incarnated. How could we explain it with our own words for those who are with us also understand it? Are we human beings? No, or say yes. What do we understand?
I would say at the moment.
At the moment, why?
Because we are not humans. We are experiencing the human life incarnated in earth. But other spirits are in different places, experience a different life with different bodies. So they don't have the human body as we have now.
Mm-hmm.
They have perfected it. Others are still behind us. They are experiencing different levels, in different worlds, with different bodies, let's can say.
Okay. Would we rather than adding from what you just said that we are essentially spirits. And for us who are incarnated, we are three-dimensional beings. Yeah? Meaning what? The spirit, perispirit, and the physical body. When we die, we free ourselves from physical body. Very consoling to know that no one dies. We live forever. And then we move on with what? With our spiritual body, which we in Spiritism call perispirit. Really? Can I carry on walking? Yes. Whatever deficiencies or limitations I have on the physical body, they will vanish. I can walk, I can talk, I can see. Yeah? Anything else?
It's like what we study in the medium's book. Kardec tells us to come from the known to the unknown. So we can start with the material world of matter. There's something else in the universe, not just matter. There is the spirit in the physical body is the instrument of the spirit.
Correct.
It's the spirit who's in charge of it. It's the spirit who's giving the commands. So I think because it might be difficult for someone who doesn't believe that there's nothing besides
Yes.
God to believe in.
Yes.
And even more to understand what is a perispirit.
Perhaps another word, because perispirit could be something from another world for us, yes? So instead of making something from another world, I started also from zero, from scratch, didn't know anything. If you're not very familiar what is this difficult word, we could translate it into astral body. Have you heard that? Is that easier to assimilate? Astral body travels around. It's easier, yeah? And even if you don't know and it still sounds a bit odd, never mind. For us also, it sounded odd at the beginning. We carry on studying. Let's carry on study here. Us and all of those who are with us. Let's carry on, those who are in the spiritual world, carry on study there. It will start to make sense for all of us. The important things in this stage is to understand. Vladimir is laughing. I don't know why, but I carry on talking.
No, as you said, the spiritual spirits, where they are, they learn with us. And I remember that colleague in another study, when we talked about these spirits and where they are, they said, yeah, they can stay there, whatever is there. As soon as they don't come here or where I am. I said, but the spiritual world is here. No, don't say that. And then I remembered me when I used to think, that spirit was something bad and I didn't want to see. And how we had difficulty understanding this, and how far from us all of the spiritual world and all the spirits and everything we put.
Mm-hmm.
We put like it is, somewhere
there
after the universe. When the universe finished, then there is the spirit, there is God, as if we are
apart. Yes.
We are here together.
Even if we talk about the spiritual world, again, we may think, oh my God, it's there. But the spiritual world is here. It's everywhere. Because every place is blessed with the presence of God. We are here. If I believe or not, we are constantly surrounded by spirits. And we are one spirit. And we are all children of God. We are all loved by God. Doesn't matter the errors that we did mistakes. We are all loved. And we are all embraced with the opportunity to learn who we are. We are not the physical level. Whatever we have here on the physical level, everything belongs to God. We are just interacting in terms of the touching. Sounds contradictory, but there is the deep, profound lessons for us to learn. Nothing belongs to us. Oh my God, my mansion. Everything belongs to God. When God is love. So if I have a mansion, one existence, God has much more for me. So let's don't be so greedy. Bigger our touch, because there's much, much, much more as we evolve available to us. And as more as we evolve, much more is available unless we need. We just interact and use it according to doing good and promoting good. And that's quite freeing within, because a lot of suffering is created because we attach ourselves with things and people. And then when it comes to time for us to free ourselves, because there's always a time to promote us further in our journey of evolution, we may go through a phase of suffering in terms of learning, and we can avoid that. We don't need to go through certain experiences if we learn to use the free will more accordingly of the natural laws in life.
And it also helps with the great illness which we have, which is envy and jealousy, isn't it? So if I look at people with different lifestyles, and I'm like, wow, that's really cool. That would be nice to live like that, But now with the teachings, I feel in my heart now, sincerely in my heart, that maybe I've already lived through that, and maybe I'll live through that in the next existence, because I feel like that's not my purpose now. My purpose is different in this existence. And as much as I can admire it and say, wow, that's really cool, don't feel the need to have to chase it or feel like, why is it not me? Why can't I have that? That question doesn't come to my mind anymore. And I think that's really freeing because, again, going back to Shuko, he says that that's one of the biggest illnesses.
It is.
Some people can't free themselves
The greatest
from envy and
suffering
jealousy, and that's
from
awful.
centuries.
And it hurts inside. It's one of those, I don't remember which lecturer it was that came here and said that it's one that causes pain. It's one of our defaults that causes pain and brings no pleasure, because there's some of our faults create some sort of sick pleasure. And this is one that's just painful, you know, envy and jealousy. So being able to free ourselves from that is
How do we do that?
understanding the principle that we're immortal spirits. We're immortal spirits who are going to have several existences, and each existence has a purpose. And once we connect with what it is, our reason for being, then we're going to be able to seek, we're going to feel that inner peace when we're looking for that. And it's going to take time and study because each one is individual.
What is our reason for living?
Our reason for living in the Nisi. Come on.
Following your thinking.
Yeah. No, our reason for living is to evolve. We want to evolve.
And how do we evolve?
We evolve by learning.
Jealousy?
No, definitely not.
So what do we need to learn?
We need to learn humility. We need to learn the virtues. We need to develop them. We need to exercise them. We need to study them. We need to grow in love for wanting to become better, regardless of our defaults.
In order to free ourselves from envy and jealousy,
I believe
we need to learn to develop self-love. We are empty within because we want to grasp everything outside. And we cannot fill our needs within with external elements. Love. Oh. Is that making sense? Cynthia, you look at me.
I don't know.
You don't know. You never heard about it. You want to say something?
I was going to say that I believe to develop that, we first need to look within us why I invite that person. What for? I'm inviting because I wish it doesn't happen, because I want to be the same and I'm lazy, I don't want to do the effort, or just because I don't think I'm capable. What is the reason? Because if I can understand myself, I can look within what is the hole inside me, I can start looking for the resources to fill that hole. So if it's because I think I'm not capable, I can look on how I can capacitate myself to do those things. If I think it's because, I just want it, because of evil in some way, I can look as well for how I can develop love inside me for things, for others. Start from the small things.
How do we develop self-love?
Yeah.
Let's imagine I'm in stage, what are they talking about? Self-love? Never heard of it. How do I start?
For me, the first thing that helped was to reaffirm to myself I'm a child of God and I'm learning. Because to accept this is hard. To accept that I'm a being created from love. To be perfect and to love, it was like impossible. In all the dark sides I recognized in myself, I couldn't believe that God created me. I'm a child of God, so God loves me in a way. But when I affirm to myself all the time, I'm a learner, I'm learning, it's okay to go like this. God don't punish me, and I shouldn't as well. It helps a little bit, but it's like she said, every step you learn and you try and you figure out and you find something else, an exercise.
Yes, so even if you don't feel like that we are a child of God, we learn to self-suggest ourselves, because everything is through learning, through self-suggesting, we condition ourselves, even if we don't believe, even if we don't feel like, because we need to go on and over again and over again. After one point, we feel it, we convince ourselves internally. Because remember, the natural laws, we bring them already within. When we go over and over and suggest and suggest and suggest, we are stimulating what we bring within already. But it doesn't connect in emotion, which is to carry on doing what we need to do. I'm a child of God, I'm a loving being. Oh, I hate myself, but it's still a loving being. Oh, I killed others, I'm still a loving being. I don't need to blame myself for that. As a learner, I did a lot of wrongs in life, but created by God who loves me, he carries on loving me the same way, even if I killed others. Because now I'm learning that, actually, I didn't kill anyone. Everyone is alive. I'm a learner.
It's amazing, Ebenezer, because others can love us so much, and until we learn how to self-love, we won't be able to
We won't be able
make
to
the most of it.
We won't be able learning to say that we are a child of God. And another example for us to practice self-love is to free ourselves from guilt complex, because that again is on the shadow side of ourselves, that we blame ourselves because now we wake up and we realize that we did mistakes. God is love. And because he loves, he doesn't need to forgive us. Who needs to learn to forgive is ourselves. And as learners, we all do mistakes, and we still do. Not intentionally more, but we don't need to blame ourselves for what we did. That only God requires for us to do is to learn to accept ourselves as being of love, essentially. Learners who do mistakes. And if we did, learn from it and then do it again. So free ourselves from the guilt complex is developing self-forgiveness, so that we're capable within to forgive others. Another aspect of developing self-love is to learn to respect ourselves as children of God. Perceive ourselves beyond the physical body. Not that we not value our physical body, because that is also part of self-love, respect to the physical body, taking care, but we learn to perceive ourselves beyond that. Developing dignity is another aspect. Learning to be honest with yourself within the natural laws of life is developing self-love. Be loyal to ourselves and others is developing self-love. Is that making sense?
And really, how do you learn to be loyal to yourself?
But do you understand about loyalty? Don't check in a dictionary.
No, she's writing.
I know, I'm joking, I know that you're checking on it. So what do you understand currently?
I was thinking about when we learn of Jesus, yes, and no. Because sometimes I want to do something, but I end up doing something else.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we all have the old commands from centuries and centuries of existences. That also is part of self-love, through self-awareness, to realize that we have this long, huge unconscious, the perispirit, everything is storage. And then we learn new things, but quite often the old systems, they still want to dominate ourselves. Then we learn to discern. Loyal to ourselves, it means learning to be honest within the deepest consciousness of ourselves. Is that making sense? Never heard. How do we learn? How are we honest with ourselves on a daily basis? Let's bring it back on a daily basis. How are we honest with ourselves on a daily basis?
Because this honesty process, isn't it? You're not necessarily going to see all the good in ourselves, are we?
No, be honest. You see my shadows without me identifying myself with my shadows, and I still carry on loving myself.
I believe a good way is exercising myself to be honest with me, making decisions,
Such as?
Like I'm going to wake up at this time and do this and this and this tomorrow and after tomorrow. I'm going to go to bed at this time. I'm going to refrain from eating this or that and going to eat this or that. And actually making a note with that and following it. Because when I see I compromise with myself to do something, and I see I'm following, I'm going to reframe that in my mind that I'm capable of being honest with myself and following small things.
Honesty.
And then I can develop to bigger things and with other people.
Yes. Honesty also, be honest with myself also means pay your bills on the right time. Will I do that if I don't learn to be honest? No, I was late. I can train myself and be honest. I work, and then I start to work at 8 o'clock. Learn to be honest with the punctuality within in relation to an external commitment. That is learning to be honest. I'm in our office and no one is around me and there is plenty of paper and I'm short at home. Learning to be honest with myself is not taking what doesn't belong to me. Choosing, developing, discernment. I find I received a wrong change in the supermarket. Learning to be honest with myself there and there, when I saw it, give the change back to the person because it doesn't belong to me. Simple experiences. Any other example?
Not accepting others or favors that we know is wronging others,
Precisely.
is putting others on.
Precisely. And not to play around. Learning to be, because the real love, when we learn to love ourselves, and we are expressing that learn to be honest is one of the aspects of training ourselves to love ourselves. That means loving according to the love of God, which is not dependent to anything, to anyone. It's just love. So that I don't want to manipulate people. Because that if I do that, that means that I have the manipulative aspect still with me. And I'm not honest, I'm not loyal to myself.
Be honest as well is to determine, I think it's a process to determine what is my true intentions behind each act.
Yeah.
You know, because we can determine certain things and then we realize actually, if I'm honest with myself, my intention behind that isn't noble. So I need to change and I need to modify my path and I need to do things differently. And that's being honest, because then I'm going to have to assume responsibility that I made a mistake, that I'm thinking wrongly, that I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And it's with loads of little things, but it's an internal process.
It is.
You explain it to us in a way that it's really important for us in society to be more honest and to look at it outside. But internally, I think there's so much dishonesty.
That is. This is why we are so ill.
And
Spiritually
Santi Klinchi has a little module that he's done where he discovered that he was envious the day that he saw a neighbor got a new car, and then he spent ages looking for a way to buy the same car. And at the end of it, he was really happy because he realized that he was envious. And then he told his wife, and his wife's like, "Why are you happy that you found out you're envious?" He said, "Because I can only work that which I've noticed in myself." And that's honesty. It's when I notice in myself my true shadows. And looking at that, then everything else kind of, all of the aspects that I need to do to fit into that is going to come naturally.
All the external elements, they are just external elements. But the movement of honesty is internal. How we engage with that, how we relate, how we refer to it.
We could look as well, sorry, but it's just this coming to me. We can look as well as I heard the quote, and I found it so beautiful. I kept on meditating over it. Is every decision we make out of love is always the right decision. Because regardless of the consequences, you made it out of love. It's fine. It's okay. So if we lend somebody something and they don't give us it back, but we gave it with love, it doesn't matter. If we do something for someone and they don't contribute it back, it's okay if we've done it with love. But if our intentions are manipulation, power, ambition, control, arrogance, showing that we're better than others, then the consequence, regardless of what it is, isn't going to be fruitful. So it's understanding, that's the true honesty. What is the purpose behind every single thing I do and say and act? What is my true intention? That's being honest with myself.
Yes, and unless our intentions or motivations behind the intentions are not according to God's laws, universal laws, then I'm still falls within. But as more as we train ourselves in that way, as you were talking, then we also will no longer have the need of external gratifications for what we do. Because as children, as we are babies spiritually, we do one movement, we want to have people clapping at us. No, that's infancy on a spiritual level. As more as we learn that to do good in all the moments, to be honest all the moments, there is nothing special. We are just doing what we're supposed to do as children of God, who are mature and who are growing, independent if people are applauding or not. That is irrelevant. We still sometimes suffer because we look external validation. We need to learn to validate ourselves. The relationship with us needs to become more honest.
And the last reason why we say that, sorry, I'll stop here now, is that if we don't analyze things like this, we'll go through the process which Flo was saying. We'll wake up and do the things we're supposed to do, and we're following everything that we've determined consciously, and we're not going to get the results we want. Then we're going to fall in that same sideways, like, yeah, but I'm going to the Spiritist Center, I'm doing everything I want to do, I'm trying my best, and I'm not getting my results. Why am I not getting my results? Why not? Why not? Why not? Why not? It's because we're not being loyal to ourselves and honest to ourselves truly. Because when we really are honest to ourselves, even if we get it wrong, we still have that peace of mind inside. No, you know what, that's okay. I can take care of myself and now go in a different path. That's okay. We're going to go and do it this way because I'm looking for a solution to my inner issues and not just do things mechanically, because we waste so much existence and time automatically trying to show on the outside perfection that we do not have yet.
So, learning to be loyal and honest with ourselves is a journey that we learn to be humble. Without being humble, can we be honest and loyal to us? No. This is why we start mechanically doing things, because intentions, they are more related to the ego state of mind. And then, of course, it will not happen, and then I may feel frustrated. And that is in any place, in marriage, in families, in workplace, or whatever. So, real honesty, loyalty, which are virtues, we develop them when we internally choose to cultivate humbleness. Humbleness has to do with simplicity, which is the opposite of complexity.
But until we get into that state, the automatic way or the exchanging way is still an exercise, it's still good. Because sometimes I choose to do the right thing because I'm frightened of the consequences, not because I want, not because I feel within the inside of me that this is the right to do and I'm doing it. Yes. No, it's because I know
there are consequences.
there are consequences.
So better walk in the right path. Yeah.
It's like I was listening to the other study that we work and we're doing charity because we want a place in
heaven.
In heaven, yeah. And then you get there and you think, oh, where is my
heaven? Oh my God, it's dark here.
where is my, what I guarded together? Oh, you haven't guarded anything. Everything you spend it there, because you did it in exchange for something and you didn't do it in your heart. But still, if that's all I can do for now, I exercise on it and I be honest with myself in saying, help me, because I want to develop this. It's not where I am yet, but
yes.
I already understand this, what I want to be. So
yes.
help me feel and develop it.
And self-love is also learning to be patient with ourselves. And not because we hear one word, oh, that's really good. But it doesn't mean that I'm able already to accommodate that within. So learning to be patient. And repeat as many times as we need. There is nothing wrong with that. Be patient, be tolerant with ourselves. Can we move on?
I was thinking about something, it's related to honesty, but I'm not sure if it's the same thing, but something I'm struggling with. For example, in a day, I book like 10 things to do. And I know I can't do 10 things in a day. I can do maybe 2 or 3.
And you book 10.
And I book 10.
And you're checking if that's honesty.
So I feel frustrated at the end of the day because I didn't do 10. I did 9, but I'm like very exhausted at the end of the day. So I'm trying to book less things, so I'm feeling a bit more light. But I'm not, maybe it's not honesty with myself.
We need, honesty has also to do with be realistic. If you have 10 things that you booked in because you are controlling, and then you just are capable in real life to do 2 things, that is not being honest. I need to listen to myself. What I'm capable of doing. I can do perhaps 10 things if I have capability to do that. Is nothing wrong. But if we put expectations beyond our abilities, that is not being honest. Self-love is the movement to accept myself as I am. If I can do two things and well done. Engage with that with my heart. Others may do 10, others may do 15, and so on. Okay. Did it clarify? Okay. So can we move on then here now? Frau Denise, would you read the next one? We still are within the immortality of the soul. Move on. So many things to hold.
What are the main principles of Spiritism? Spirits preserve their individuality before, during, and after each incarnation.
Explain that for us. Immortality of the soul.
Yes. As we said previously, we are intelligent beings, and we experience different stages and go through a development, and then we come back to God as pure spirits and develop. But we don't lose our individuality. It's like me, spirit, I am that being that was created by God with all divinity. And I'm experiencing in a human body with my pure spirit. But when I go back to this spirit world, I will be experiencing with my pure spirit until I've developed it so much, I will be able to be just me, the spirit. That's how I understand. And then I will be with God, but I won't lose my individuality.
Okay, so we are unique beings in the universe. Really, Vanessa? Yes. Can you imagine what that means? Unique beings in the universe. It's not on Earth. It's not in London. In the universe. That individuality we will keep in our understanding forever. Before, during, and after each incarnation. Why do we keep our individuality? Before reincarnating, during, and after.
Sometimes I have difficulty of understanding that really, because when I think I'm spirit and created by God, already perfect, and then I go through all of these things to be perfect. What is the point? And then you comes with the merit. You go and you experience by yourself, so you learn, you understand, and you can truly be it. And I think, what a waste I did, making the wrong choices when I could have just gone through the right way.
Yes, we can always challenge. Why is that? If God created me perfect, why I am struggling here in my imperfection? Can we not say that? Why did God create us with the possibility of perfection and we are struggling here with our shadows? Why?
So about use of free will.
Yes, because He created us as babies, spiritually speaking, and He gave the seeds within, especially free will, where He wants us freely to stimulate our divinity, or divine faculties, or divine potentials. He wants us to potentialize. He started the work, but we need to carry on.
I heard the Spirit said to me once, your life choices is ruining your life quality. Sometimes our life choices ruin our life quality. It's the choices we're making.
Yeah.
We're the ones, we've got the choice, and it's like, it's out there. And we go with either a bucket or a cup, you know, to get the goodness that's out there. But I find this really, I love this fact that we're all keep our individuality. When we look at Andrea Luis' books, there was one scene where Andrea Luis was with a mentor that was helping a family go through a trauma. And then they needed the help of this other spirit that came over. And all that she did was coming there, was emanating love to be able to dissolve the anger in that other spirit's heart. And he said, for that sort of work, I can't do. Only that spirit can do. And she's going through her evolutionary process as well. But each one has their individuality and what it is that we're developing, and we can do it gradually, and we can choose how we do it. I mean, that's the perfection of God's law. And once we look at that, again, we stop looking at others around We look at them as friends helping us in our way, but we start focusing on our inner, what is it that I'm supposed to develop inside of me as an individual?
Developing my individuality and not my individualism. What happens when we look with others and compare with others?
We become depressed.
Huh?
We become depressed.
We become depressed. We become depressed. We suffocate ourselves. We stop the journey as we can do it, but just temporarily. Why is that? Because we put pressure on us. We want to be the others in life, in the universe. There is no such a thing coming from God as copy and paste. Although we love it or not. Don't we? So easy, copy and paste. Doesn't exist when it comes to us. And usually when we compare ourselves with others, we always compare in the low level. Always put others there, but they are also, and we put us on, we need to compare ourselves with ourselves. We need to improve our individuality. We need to, through this self-knowledge, become more aware who we really are, how we function, and perceive the changes, perceive the progress, motivate us. Here I got things right. No, he wasn't. Developing, shaping us, more and more, molding us, more and more according to the real law. Because we can just be who we are. But we can be better than we are. We can improve ourselves as we are. Is that making sense?
When I heard Allan talk saying that someone said to him to flourish wherever you be, that kept buzzing in my head for many days. And then one day I was doing a study, and then it cleared more in my mind. I was visualizing myself as if I could break through from this physical shell into what I am, in essence, a spirit, a light, and flourishing through earth into the universe and connecting with all the life that there is, all the realms, all the spheres. And I thought, not in this incarnation, because I thought as the seed needs to do when it's in the ground, and to break through that shell and grow into the earth. And I thought, is how we need to do here on earth, to break through this shell of materialism and be able to flourish as a spirit, as light.
Yes.
But we keep
this is the purpose of life. When we mentioned previously, the purpose of life is to evolve, we say it's correct, it's to progress, it's correct. But in reality, all of that happens when we learn to develop self-love. I will not evolve if I don't develop self-love. I will not progress if I don't develop self-love. And self-love has nothing to do with material preferences. It has to do with the essence of who we are, living as immortal beings while we are on the flesh. And yet, as more as we break through our materialistic references or selfish references, because there's selfishness and pride, vanity also blocks us. As more as we do it while we are here, remember, when we go to sleep, we can also flourish beyond the physical body. As more as we leave the hours that we are here away as an immortal being and behave more and more in that lines, when we go to sleep, where the conscious memory just slows down, shuts down, spiritually we are awake and we carry on. That is very important. But when we don't do it on the conscious level, then it's more difficult to have a different option when we close our eyes, physical eyes. Is that making sense? Yes. And then we carry on. Spirits incarnate as many times as is necessary for their spiritual advancement. That is very consoling, isn't it? That is very hopeful. Why?
Because if I had to re-educate myself enough about food in this incarnation to be able to go to a better place in the spiritual world, I wouldn't be able. As I see now, all the attachments I have with in each thing, in specific, how far I am from doing what is necessary to be able to go to the kingdom. Because for me now, as we was talking on the other study, whenever I need to go now, I have to have 2 big bags. I can't just go with one small bag. So
Try.
how I go somewhere else?
Try.
Can try it.
Vinny, sounds so good. I go to the picnic and I come with tons of bags. It's just a picnic. The other time we went to a journey outside London, and a friend of ours came with a big suitcase. So where are you going? Are you sure that we're going to the same destination? Oh yes, what is it? I have food for today. We need to try to simplify. Try. And next time organize our bags, get a small one. And just put in what fits there and leave the other behind. Remember that we are freeing ourselves from the physical body. We cannot take anything with us.
You said this is consoling. I find it a little bit, I mean, as a spirit we hear a lot, I'll leave that for the next incarnation to work on.
Oh, I don't say that.
Really, no, not you. Definitely not you. But many of us will say.
Well.
So it's really the way that we're going to look at this process of reincarnation, because we don't want to keep repeating the same
No, we
experience.
don't. We don't want to waste our time, because what is the purpose of reincarnation? We said is, whatever we name, it is to develop self-love, which means to develop ourselves spiritually according to the love of God. And as more as we do, happier we become. Why we'll be here? Just get stuck on earth, where we know it's a primitive world. If we are here to really dematerialize ourselves and reach happiness, happy states of mind. What is good is really awaiting us in front of us. Why would we have to get attached here? Respect, give relative value, but detach, move on, progress, love. Then we carry on lighter, with less pain, with less suffering. Unfortunately, we are coming to the end today, not study, and close our meeting with our prayer, opening our hearts and minds full of joy as we are feeling at present. And express our gratitude for everything that has been given to us here, for all the dear beings who are with us and joyful that we are studying, that we are learning, that we are cooperating with each other, that we are opening up our minds and hearts and understanding and feeling that we are immortal beings essentially of love and goodness, beings created by God with love in order for us to learn to love. Our hearts are full of joy for the consoling blessings that Spiritism brings to us, helping us to understand, despite of our mistakes, God still loves us. We can always look up and look forward and see that there are loving beings with us, inviting us, let's move on, let's learn, let's carry on. Learning to forgive ourselves so that we can also expand our heart in love towards others and forgiving them for their shortcomings, as we are all learners in life. And as learners, at the beginning of our journey, we still do mistakes, which are part of learning. Forgive, forget, and love. Love ourselves, love others, love life, love the challenging experiences as much as the light-hearted ones. It's all about learning, it's all about evolving, it's all about progressing. God is love. And with the blessings of the love from God, the creator of everything and everyone, we close our meeting today. Submit. Much pleased.